Right, so we are back and I have sprayed a darker shade of primer coat, which is Tamiya XF-63, I think. German grey. We'll just get the bottle and have a look. Yeah, so it's Tamiya XF-63 German grey, and it's thinned probably 50-50 just with ordinary Tamiya thinners, but with a little bit of Tamiya retardant, which makes it lie down really, really nice. So there's one or two light spots, but that's not a problem. But it's got the overall darkness I need now for laying down the RLMO2. There you go. Can we get that to focus a bit better? Yeah. Have to excuse me. I am filming this on my iPad as I film all my stuff, so sometimes it's difficult for it to focus. But there we go. So all that detail starting to really pop. The wheel wells, really nice. See if we can get it to focus in there. There you go, you can see all the detail just popping out of there. And then the cockpit, again, beautiful details. I know there's one or two light spots, but that doesn't matter. It'll all get blended in when we get the next layer of paint on. And talking about laying down paint, I thought I'd just show you the airbrushes I've been using. I only have 4 airbrushes, and of these, 2 of them were bought new as gifts for me by my fantastic family, and the other 2 I've picked up off of eBay for really good prices. So what we've got here is the Procon Boy. We've already seen the PS290, the 0.5mm needle nozzle and fan cap. It also has an ordinary round cap to get around spray. Brilliant airbrush, quality is amazing. Highly recommend them for anyone that wants to buy them. The other one I've got for larger spray jobs, which is a really underrated airbrush, and not many people use it, but it's the Revell dagger. It's a 3.5 needle. It's got a really large colour cup, double action. There's your adjuster on the back. Now what I like about this one is if you want to take the crown cap off, because a lot of people do spray with the crown cap off. If we can get that to focus onto there. There we go. A lot of people spray without the crown cap. It's got a little screw thread now onto the back, so you don't lose it. Fantastic idea. And the other thing this thing's got, it does use a lot of air because it's quite a high air demand airbrush, but if you look at the needle, wipe off, it follows on. Now the Revell, I don't know if you know, make an awful lot of automotive spray guns, and this needle is very much on the line of how they work. You see it's got the triple taper on it, so you can get a lot of paint down very quickly with this airbrush, and very smoothly. The atomization is brilliant. It's around about the same price as what you pay for a Procon Boy airbrush. It's something that I don't think is very popular in Europe, I'm not sure, but I really like it. I picked it up off eBay for probably about, I don't know, £45, something like that, second hand, and it was in really good condition. All I did was clean it and service it, and I've got a fantastic airbrush. Now for doing detail work, I have 2 airbrushes. One I use quite a lot because it's got a small colour cup, and I'm usually doing 48 scale or 35th scale models. And then for doing really intricate detail work I want done well, I use my Harder Steenbeck Infinity CR+, a very well known airbrush. A lot of the well-known modelers use it and have championed this airbrush. Double action, very smooth, puts down minute fine line if you need it, and it can cover quite a large area if you need to as well. I tend to use the Revell if I'm using a larger area because it's got that larger needle nozzle set. And another brush that is really underrated, I don't see many people using it at all, It's from Harder Steenbeck and it's a Hansa 281. It's a double action, but you don't have to push down, it's just a single pull back and you get the paint and air together. It's really, really easy to use, really easy to control. The quality of paint finish you get from this is the same as you get from the Infinity. It's dead easy to service. It's got a mucky needle, that's me not cleaning it properly. A beautiful fine pointed needle. Spare parts are readily available. I get mine from Little Cars, which you can find on the internet, but you can get it from other airbrush suppliers in the UK. The beauty for this one is it's got a similar needle nozzle setup to the Infinity in that you get the air cap off and there's the self-centering nozzle in the front of the airbrush, easily interchangeable. Now I know Hansa in itself, it was a German company in its own right, and then Harder Steenbeck bought them over, so they sell them and market them themselves. I would highly recommend this airbrush to anybody that is wanting to get into airbrushing, wants to invest into a reasonably good quality airbrush, because they're very, very good quality, but they're a lot easier to control than the traditional double action where you have to push down and pull back for air, or even the Infinities where you push down and pull back. Because it's just one action, you don't have to push down, you just pull back and you can get the gradient of air. Maybe not as much control as you would with the Infinity, but it's easier to learn double action airbrushing if you're pulling back and getting the paint. So it's far, far easier to control and you get really good paint coverage. So that's the 4 airbrushes that I own and I use, and to be honest with you, I don't know if I'd want to buy any more, don't need to buy any more. The only one I would really like to get if I were to try would be the Pro Comboy detailed airbrush that you can get, that's got the Mac valve on the front, for seeing how that compares to my other detail airbrushes here. But anyway, that's airbrushes, that's the second primer coat down onto all the parts. So what we can do now is we can look at interior colours and start getting some down and see if we can't bring this thing to life. So we're back in the spray booth. We're going for an RLM 02 colour, and I'm using Mr Hobby Aqueous, which is H-70, and I'm putting that through my Infinity CR Plus. So let's have a go and see what we get. Turn the pressure down a little bit, it's still a little high. I tend so it's down to about 15 psi now. I've thinned the paint roughly 50-50 with Tamiya X28 with a little bit of Tamiya retarder in, which flows beautifully. Now what I like to do is we'll lay the paint down in the centre of the panels. Actually that's a little too low, need a bit more pressure in there. So we're just about 20 psi now. So because we want to get some tonal variation, and it'll need to be quite stark tonal variation if you want to see any of the detail in here, is we're going to just paint in the centre of the panels, and we'll leave the area around that quite dark. So it will look quite high contrast at the moment, that when we come to put a final dust coat over it and then the weathering, that will all unify it. There we go. That's what we're aiming for there. Hopefully you can see that in the light. I'll just bring the studio light in a bit better. There we go. So you hopefully able to see that colour starting to go on, and now because it's a dark primer, then this colour will stand out nicely against it. When we get a wash in there, it really will pop it all. You want to highlight more, getting a bit closer. There you go, and then you get the nice gradient from where the thick opaque paint is to the more translucent edges. And you're going to feather that back, just put a very light dusty coat over it. And go along the bench worktops. Getting close. On the floor. Now you want a random pattern in here, just to give you that tonal variation, in and out, hard colour, light colour. It doesn't take very long or very much paint before you've built up enough. That'll do. Again, you've got to remember, you're probably not going to see much of this, but it's worth doing. Purely for the fact that you know it's done, but also it's really good practice for when you do the exterior of the aircraft and you want to get that nice sort of mottled, worn finish. Another technique to do is you do your high to lows, so you start at the top and there we go. You get a high contrast colour where the most light's coming in, and then you fade it off to the shadows. Now I'm by no means any expert artist or anything. I just know what sort of colour variation tones I like. If you just think where the light's going to hit when it's coming down through the top aperture, then you can imagine where it's going to go and how it's going to end up casting light, highlights and lowlights and shadows and stuff like that. Once you've done all the pre-shade, I suppose, the initial colouring, and lay down a very fine, pull back a little bit so it's going down nice and fine. Colour coat, and then you'll see all that previous shading work you put in there come to life. Try not to lose it. So some of this stuff we're going to paint by hand. All the MG racks and the radios all going to get painted by hand, but they are all bolted to what would be our RLM02 solid surfaces. Front to the table. There we go. So that's the sort of finish we are looking to get. A little bit of tonal variation. Still a lot of the dark colour showing through, creating nice shadows, and that'll all be enhanced when we put an oil wash over it just to blend it all together and unify it, and it'll look really, really nice. So what I'll do is I'll get on and spray some more of this, and we'll catch you back in a little moment. I'll maybe film another piece of the other half as well. Right, so we now have our colour coat on the fuselage, wheel wells, bombay and the cockpit. So hopefully you could see from the video where I was coming from when I was trying to highlight the centre of the panels and cast a shadow down to the dark areas. We've still got quite a lot of the German grey showing through, got some natural shadowing in there, we've got some contrast in there. All these highlights, lowlights will help when we put a wash on to create a really nice, interesting interior for all that you're going to see. And I always quantify that by saying for all you're going to see, because you're probably not going to see an awful lot of this, but we all know it's in there. So that's what we're all happy about. So there's one side. This is the side with the radios. You can see all the modulation in there. Nice sort of scuffed up looking floor. By the time we get a bit of weather in there, we can put maybe a little bit of chip in if we like. It will start to come to life, and especially once we get the radios painted up, because they really are. I mean, I can't say how nice they are. I mean, they are just gorgeous bits of resin casting. And you should be able to see the detail on them. If I can get it to focus, there we go. So once we get them hand painted, that's going to be brilliant. And hand painting's a bit daunting, but to be honest with you, if you get decent brushes, decent paints, take your times, nice thin coats, then it'll go down really well. For hand painting, I actually tend to like using Revell Aqueous colour. It's quite a thick paint, so it can be thinned an awful lot, but it does cover very well quite quickly, and it dries really, really smooth, which is what you want, no brush strokes. A quick look at the cockpit. So it's more of a unified colour here on this one. I haven't tried to put in artificial shadows or anything like that, just wanted to get the basic colour down on all the parts. There's a little bit of variation, but not a lot, but again, once it's all buttoned up, you're not going to see a whole heap of it. But once you get the detail in there and the photo etch, the colour photo etch in there, it'll really start bringing it to life. And the wheel wells, there's one of them. The detail is just absolutely popping in there, you can see that. Again, a wash in there, it's going to make that look amazing. And then I'll just reach and get the bombay. Let's have a look at this, and there we go. Again, you can see the detail popping as the light reflects off the paint surfaces. All the rivet detail. Again, I haven't gone for artificial shadows or tonings. We're going to get plenty of that once it's buttoned up inside. You're really not actually going to see very much of this at all. So all the work we're doing here could be said to be wasted, but it's not, because we know it's there and we know it looks really good. And we have a quick look underneath. Look at that detail, absolutely amazing. It's a real improvement on the kit parts. And then when we get the doors, the photo etch doors and everything put in together, it really will make it look spectacular. So if you're into getting the bomber version, then it is worth doing to really make the kit pop, as they say. So I'm going to leave it there at that for now. I'm going to let all this paint dry up. Once it's all cured up, then I'm going to get set to and do the detail painting, and we'll come back and have a look at that. So until then, guys, take care and happy modelling. So there we go, chaps. That's us finished putting down all the primer and the colour coat on the interior of the Heinkel 111. I have to say the Gunsan paints, the Mr Hobby Colour Aqueous, really, really nice. It's got a beautiful finish, and it's really starting to make the detail come to life. So in the next episode, what we're going to do once this is all cured off is look at hand painting the details. So we've got the radios, we've got all the ammunition canisters, we've got all the photo etch, colour photo etch to look at putting in, and see if we can't bring it all to life before we start doing a bit more weathering, little simple wash and stuff like that, and then hopefully we can get it buttoned up. So until the next episode, guys, take care, stay safe and happy modelling.